Today, I'm going to be talking about defensiveness, and we'll be looking at a quick fix that can help us to get away from defensiveness and prevent it from ruining our relationship. I'm Chris Cook, relationship coach, and I'm happy to have you join me. Okay, so have you or can you remember a time when you're in a debate or an argument with your spouse and they've said something that really is not true or you didn't agree with and you just wanted to correct them and you just launch into, putting them right? Um, that is defensiveness. And probably you did it with a little bit of anger also. We have all been there. Okay. So we want to talk today about why is defensiveness so bad and what quick fix we can use to prevent it from ruining our relationship. Okay, so the defensiveness that I'm going to be focusing on in this video is that which was defined by John Gottman and Bob Levison, who were professors at Washington University, and who ran the Love Lab, which was a research lab that allowed couples to come in, and it was kind of like a bed and breakfast kind of setting, and they were observing them and see what they were doing to make relationships work or not work so well. They decided not to to not have any hypothesis at the outset, but to let their theories be grounded in the data that they were collecting as a result of their observation. And so they found that there were two categories of couples. One type, who they refer to as the masters, they were doing all the right things to have a healthy, happy relationship with their spouse. And the other type, they refer to those guys as the disasters, and they were doing the wrong things. One thing they found that the disasters were doing were these really destructive communication patterns, and there were four key things that they noticed, and they call them the four horsemen of the apocalypse. There were criticism, defensiveness, contempt, and stonewalling. And so these four destructive relationship patterns were became the source of figuring out or teaching couples to spot when they spot these things to not do them or to prevent them from occurring within their relationship. It requires a bit of practice, and this is something that we do as a part of my relationship coaching. So today we're going to be talking about what are the quick fixes? What can we do to prevent the defensiveness from creating havoc in our relationship? What causes it? Why do we become defensive and become angry and defend ourselves with our spouse and make an argument or a discussion turns into a negative argument? Well, we can think about the emotional side of our brain being active, and we can call it the amygdala, the emotional side that really, it responds to fear and anger and all those natural man reactions. And so we usually experience the emotional side in the middle of some fight or flight scenario. When we feel threatened, we need to respond, and the emotional side of our brain is very quick acting, and it gets us to do that. Unfortunately, in the context of our marriage, when we're trying to create a nice, happy, successful, harmonious marriage, it will work against us in a terrible way. And so the emotional side of our brain actually works against us. And we're going to be looking at the other side, the prefrontal cortex, the rational side of our brain, which helps us to think about what we're going to say, think about the consequences of what we're about to say, and think about what we really want to achieve in terms of our relationship objectives. And usually it takes some time for that rational side of the brain to catch up with the emotional side. And so we're going to be focusing on what we can do to get those guys aligned, those two sides of the brain to align. So we're going to be in terms of the quick fix, we're going to be looking at pausing, breathing, reflecting, and then responding. Okay. So we're going to pause, we're going to breathe, we're going to reflect, and we're going to respond. We're just not going to launch into a response straight away. Why is it important to pause? So again, we don't want the quick acting side of our emotional brain to take over and gets us to say something really horrible to our husbands or our wives, really hurt their feelings, and just turn this debate into a very negative conversation. And so we want to pause. We want to pause and get our rational brain to catch up. Okay. Um, Pausing allows us to not trigger into a fear or anger or say anything impulsively that will hurt our spouse's feeling. And so we want to look to think about first of all doing that. The second thing we want to do is to breathe. Breathing is going to help us to get those nice, lovely oxygen into our brain and gets the frontal cortex of our brain to kick in and start making some rational decisions in the context of this argument. And we also that buys us a bit more time. Reflecting. Now we're going to be reflecting on what we're about to say and what the consequences are of what we're about to say. And this is going to give us more control over ourselves and over the conversation. So, and then the fourth step is to respond. Now we're now when we respond, we will be saying what we really want to say and not what the natural man side of our brain wants to say that may cause us more problems. And so it's to pause, breathe, reflect, and respond. That's the quick fix that I want to propose that we do in dealing with conflicts in our marriage. There is even a better way, and it is the preventative approach. As part of my coaching program, I encourage couples to make covenants with each other. And a covenant that I usually like to encourage them to make is to promise each other that they would not be defensive with each other. And because they're entering into this covenant or this promise uh, collaboratively and mutually, they're going to be watching out for each other. So if one of them forgets and launches into the emotional side of the brain, the other one can say, "Ah, darling, you're being defensive. We covenanted not to do that." Hopefully, the first the usually when people respond defensively, it is in response to a criticism. And so we want to make sure that the covenants incorporate all of those four horsemen of the apocalypse. Having made the decision that you're not going to be defensive, that is the first and most powerful step you can take to prevent defensiveness from derailing your conversations with your spouse. So if you know of anyone or yourself who may benefit from learning more about how we help couples to have healthy, productive conversations, please go ahead and see my website details below and go ahead and contact me. I'll be more than happy to talk to you. Have a wonderful day.